Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to Nikki Carry On. Today I want to talk about the Hunger Games because it's recently been having a huge resurgence and I am loving it. We've been getting new memes, we've been getting new discourse, and if there's something that I love, it's discourse about something that happened like 10 years ago. Well, actually, now that I think about it, the Hunger Games came out 11 years ago, but that's not the point. If you've been on Twitter or TikTok in the last 2 years, you might kind of notice that a similar thing happened last year when they added the Twilight Saga to Netflix. And it's just kind of funny, like every time a super popular franchise or movie gets added to Netflix, it has like a big wave of people not only rediscovering it, but also like teens and like kids watching it for the first time. But anyways, the reason why I bring up the Twilight phenomenon from last year is not just because it's a new wave of people discovering something, it's that when these movies came out, they both were so insanely popular that they had a giant like ripple effect on like all media.
I volunteer as tribute.
Some people call the Hunger Games the next craze in books turned movies, like Twilight.
We don't have magic and vampires and werewolves and all. It's human beings put in real dire situations. And as a human, it's hard to read a story like that and not put yourself in that shoe.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
That's a famous line from the movie. It is just going to air at 12:01 here, and you can see people are all dressed up. They've got their braids on the side for the Katniss Evergreen, and a lot of people are in costume here. They had Hunger Games signs.
So it's kind of like history repeating itself in two different ways. When directors and writers observed the success of the Hunger Games, they weren't just like, yeah, this is great, this is awesome. They were like, we need to copy this right now. And so just as the vampire romance was to Twilight and that domino effect, Hunger Games was like the dystopian teenage thriller domino effect. This movie resulted in so many other teenage dystopian novels being turned into movies. Like there was one with kids stuck in a maze. There was one with kids stuck in a diverged Shailene Woodley. There was one where a guy was stuck giving. I don't know, I never watched this one. But to me, personally, the Hunger Games always stood out as the best one. And not just because I felt like the movies were higher quality, but also the books too were just really good. And Katniss was just somebody who I looked up to a lot as a kid. Like it was very rare for me as a kid, like growing up in the 2000s, to see a movie about a girl who has like flaws, but she's strong and she's like not sexualized. Like, hello, we love this. I love this. While I can safely say that these films are in fact very flawed, I mean, if the government of Panem just like learned about pre-recording live streams, the whole plot just falls apart.
Stop!
Not to mention the fact that at least one time per movie, PETA does some goofy ass shit.
Oh my God, PETA! PETA!
Like, do I need to even say anything about this clip? Like, he painted his face to look like a tree using skills he acquired by being a cake decorator? Bitch, what kind of cake? PETA, the baker, malark, whatever. If you suspend your disbelief for a couple things like that, these movies have pretty much aged like fine wine. But with literally anything that was popular in the early 2000s or 2010s, there was gonna be people ragging on whatever it was, especially when a movie or a TV show was really popular with young adults or teenage girls. Oh, it's getting torn to shreds. So that's why it really wasn't surprising for me to find out that the Hunger Games had a parody movie made of it, but it did surprised me that there was two of them, and they literally came out within months of each other. The first one we're going to talk about, The Starving Games, stars Maya Walsh from Cory in the House and all these other people who aren't as cool because they weren't in Cory in the House. It has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the Letterboxd reviews I've read of it range from absolutely awful but simultaneously one of the funniest things I've ever seen to kind of better than the actual Hunger Games movies. But last but not least, I read this one. As far as the plot of the Starving Games go, it's pretty much identical to the OG Hunger Games movie. And I know that sounds like I'm mansplaining what a parody is to you right now, because obviously why would it be a different plot? But I swear the second movie that we're going to talk about, the Hungover Games, really steers off of the course of this pretty hard. I went into this movie with zero expectations, and let me tell you, within the first 3 seconds, there's already a super out-of-date reference in it.
Hey, Candace. I am the great and powerful.
I'm not even 100% sure what the reference to that was, but I hope you get used to it, because this movie aged like fucking SpongeBob's mommy and daddy. Not that you even have a second to process that horribly aged joke, because this movie has about 100 jokes per minute.
Look what I got.
Is it real?
Psych! It's gag bread. Look at you.
How can you raise a child in a world where they televise all of life's misery and inhumanity and then pass it off as some sort of twisted entertainment?
The Hunger Games.
16 and pregnant.
Seriously, this movie is basically just like throwing as many jokes as you can at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's like, shh, Angry Birds reference. Fruit Ninja reference. And just when you think it can't get any worse.
No. What? Weren't you glad to see me?
This movie very much leans into pop culture reference equals funny. Ha 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 ha. I'm laughing so hard now. Oh, Honey Boo Boo's here now. Oh, great. Now it's Gundam style time. Oh, I can't stop. I'm gonna piss myself. I feel like if somebody pitched this movie in 2023, a movie studio would look at the script and just go, just make that into a YouTube video, bro. But hey, don't get me wrong. I feel like even the worst jokes in this movie have some kind of like post-ironic value to them.
Fine. Fine. But I'm changing my Facebook status to single.
I volunteer! I volunteer for the Starving Games!
Thanks, big sis. Oh, if you never make it back from the games, can I eat your pet hamster?
And funnily enough, there is actually like some good jokes that have like creative effort behind them. For example, throughout the whole movie, Seneca Crane's beard keeps changing with like different brands on it. I feel like not only does this joke work because his beards keep getting sillier and sillier, but also just because of the fact that in the OG like Hunger Games universe, this beard would like unironically fit in with like their fashion. Cinna, or this universe's version of him, also appears in the movie once, and when he does, it's actually very fucking funny.
Who are you?
I'm Cinnamon, your stylist. How you holding up?
I'm scared.
I'm here to tell you that I believe in you. You can win this. I looked at your records, and you are smarter and craftier than all of them.
Really? You think that I can win?
Yes, Patricia. I know it.
Who's Patricia?
You're not the girl from District 3?
No, I'm from District 12.
You know, this is perfectly normal. You seem like you strong.
There's just something beautiful about the way that his name is Cinnamon.
I'm Cinnamon.
There's also moments that feel really smart, kind of on accident. They'll show a bunch of people like buying a shit ton of like Starving Games merch.
I'm here in District 12 where everyone is going nuts. It's the ultimate underdog Cinderella story, and the po folks here is eating it up. buying up merchandise with any and everything that has to do with Katniss or the Starving Games.
It's like in the real world when people buy a bunch of merch of the Hunger Games, and the Hunger Games is about people who are suffering under an extreme political regime. But there's tons of things in the movie that also like easily apply to like capitalism, and I feel like they could have easily like leaned into that, but they don't really. They're this close to like saying an actual like smart joke. Also, the bum, 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 bum is just flipping people off in this movie, which I think is really funny. This is most of the good stuff, by the way. Don't get too excited about me liking this movie. However, I will give credit where credit's due. There's also this scene that genuinely feels like it could be a good satire of the Hunger Games or capitalism or something.
Let's riot and overthrow this totalitarian government once and for all!
We take a half pound of grade A beef and top it with cheese. Then we top it with chili. Then we top it with a slice of pepperoni pizza with a sesame seed bun. Hey,
Are we still gonna riot?
Maybe later. I'm too hungry now.
Chili ranch chicken.
the 600,000 calorie triple bypass burger.
Like, this genuinely reminds me of real life when you'll see, like, a homeless person, and then on the side of them there's a giant billboard for, like, a chicken sandwich that has freaking waffles and fucking pita chips on it for, like, no reason at all, and you're just kind of like, what is this excess that we have access to in this terrible world? Anyways, not to get fucking deep on a shitty parody movie right now, but that's the way that joke makes me feel.
Okay, literally, this is a good joke. Like, I'm kind of taking back what I said. Like, this is a really good joke, because like the way that society, I know, it keeps poor people down and it keeps them starving, keeps them working paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, just suffering, just barely making enough, and they don't have the time or the energy to give to like protesting or like making things better, because then boom, you're fired, and then boom, you're homeless or something. Like, that's how it feels. So like, I do take it back. This is a good fucking joke, dude. Put that in the Hall of Fame.
This is just the better side of this movie, okay? There's nice moments where they lean into things that are already, like, silly from the original Hunger Games movie.
Peter, are you here?
I'm camouflaged.
Where are you?
I'm over here.
I don't see you.
I use my skills as a baker to seamlessly blend into my surroundings.
Okay, well, can you give me a hint?
I'm in the cake.
But then there's stuff that literally just doesn't belong here at all. And I'm not even kidding you. After like the first 50 minutes, like it dissolves into nothingness. Like, this movie becomes about nothing. A really bad impersonator of Taylor Swift shows up.
Sing me a lullaby. Okay. Not you. Her. Please shut your eyes.
There's a moment where Starving Games cheerleaders do a dance, but their nipples are really long for some reason. Hello? Why is this happening? Like, I literally I feel like they half expected people to stop watching this movie after the first 50 minutes. And so they were like, oh, don't worry, just like put that in to like fuck with people who finished watching the movie. Nobody else is gonna even know about that. As far as I know, like, I literally tried to find a reason for the nipple cheerleader thing. I don't think this is a reference at all. I kind of just think this is like a self-report of like a fetish that the director has or something. Like, what is that? As for main characters, I mean, expect the polar opposite of how they are in the original Hunger Games, of course. Like, Rue has a very minimal role in this movie, except for the times that she like slaps Katniss around. Katniss and Peeta don't have a romance in this at all. It's just like purely survival based, which, if we're being honest, is what happens in the real Hunger Games too, okay? Controversial opinion alert! Controversial! To say that Katniss and Peeta are not together just because they're forced to be is like kind of insane, okay? That's how I feel about it.
I think that they want us to be more romantic, and in return they'll send us stuff to make you better.
Sounds good to me.
The way that they had Gale send the message too. Honestly, dude, if Gale could send a message too, that's what it would be. The President Snow in this movie is very funny, I think. He's also a total douchebag, which I feel like completely aligns with the real President Snow's personality.
We could finally win an Emmy. But the show's missing one important thing. What does every successful show need to bring it to the next level?
I know exactly what you mean.
A lesbian love story.
Wait, lesbian love story?
Who doesn't like to see two chicks get it on? I know I do. Big time.
Do I think it's funny to fetishize lesbianism? No. But did I laugh because he said bagantong? Yes. Okay, my sense of humor is simultaneously like that of a 12-year-old's, and while also thinking that I'm too good for the jokes in this movie. But anyways, because Katniss doesn't give a shit about Peeta in this version of the movie, she just ends up killing him.
What if we both kill ourselves and there are no victors? We'll ruin the games. And we'll show that the Capitol, they can't control us. I found these poisonous berries in the woods. We can eat them and die.
I have no problem with that being like the ending of this movie. I have a problem with it not being funny though.
Shit ain't personal. Strictly business. You dig?
Why this creative decision, Saffron Company?
Shit ain't personal. Strictly business. You dig?
I feel like working on one of these movies is like the equivalent of working at Spirit Halloween. Like, it's just so impermanent, so you just really don't give a fuck. Like, you're not gonna try while you work at Spirit Halloween. What are they gonna do? Fire you? You're only there for like a month. That's exactly what happened when these people wrote Corey in the House star Maya Walsh to say, shit ain't personal, ya dig? Like, it literally makes me like mad because I could have done a better job. Saffron Company, hire me.
Best starving games ever!
So after Katniss kills Peeta, there's like a really unnecessary joke about the Avengers just like shoved like into the last like 20 seconds.
We could use some fresh young blood. I mean, shit. Just how many sequels to Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America can we make, right? And you're pretty handy with that bow and arrow.
Like, every single one of these costumes was ordered on Amazon one day prior. Every single one of them. Like, they did not try at all. And I guess they don't have to.
I'm in. But, I'm kind of hungry. Do you mind if we get something to eat first?
Let's go get some shawarma. Avengers, assemble.
Wait, don't step on those!
Oops. But yeah, after that, there's literally 5 whole minutes of bloopers. This movie is less than an hour and a half, by the way. I really feel like they had a quota for how many minutes the movie had to be to actually make it into like a movie theater. Because like, man, did they stretch it out? Like, watching the end of this movie was truly like watching someone struggle with like the last 500 words of their essay. Like, why, SpongeBob? Why?
Why didn't you just write your essay? Stop wasting
wasting time!
So that's the Starving Games. I don't know. I give it like 3 out of 10 Mockingjays, whatever the fuck. Okay, let's talk about the...
You have a little sister?
Fuck this movie. Okay, so this fuck-ass movie basically takes the characters from The Hangover and forces them to be in the hungover games. And instead of the people enforcing this upon them being the government, it's Hollywood. So basically, they're putting a bunch of different characters from movies in the arena. So to this movie's credit, they do actually have like a pretty good excuse for all of the references they put into it. But that's literally all the credit that I'm going to give it. This movie made the Starving Games look like a fucking, like a masterpiece. They didn't even give this movie a Rotten Tomatoes score. Like, first of all, Maya Walsh isn't in it, so that's already a negative 2% for me. And secondly, I'm not sure if the original Hangover series that this movie is like partially based on was even ever funny to begin with. The Hangover was directed by the same guy who made The Joker, starring Walking Penis. So do with that information what you will. But regardless of whether or not The Hangover has aged very badly, that amongst everything else in this movie is basically there for shock value. It doesn't care if it's funny, actually. Like, if it just does the most shocking 12-year-old boy thing that you could think of, then they were like, okay, yeah, let's film that. But anyways, Caitlyn Jenner is one of the hosts in this for some reason. I know, but like I mentioned, these games are being orchestrated by Hollywood. So of course their ops are going to be people like Gandalf the Grey, Carrie from Carrie, The Real Housewives.
Now these trashy bitches have about a 0% chance of surviving the games.
And of course they're going to find a way to be racist. And also Catnip Everdeen is from District 11 here. And there's like a reoccurring joke in this movie where the character named Ed is like in love with Catnip, and she's canonically 17 in this movie. Like, it keeps getting brought up. She says it herself, and it just keeps happening. Every time he came on screen, it just pissed me off so much because not only is it like, who are you? But like, also you're not funny, and like, you know what? I'm not even mad at the bird. I'm not mad at the bird. I'm not mad at the bird at all, okay? I won't kill the bird. I will kill the bird. I was kind of debating on whether or not to include some of the stuff that like actually genuinely like made me super uncomfortable about this movie. And I think I am. I'm just gonna give you a timestamp right here just in case you want to skip over it. But trigger warning, schmeckeromelia and metomelia.
Erotic.
Not surprised that joke is in there. Literally 50 Shades of Grey jokes. If you've ever seen like any kind of 2010s comedy, oh wow, yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. Let's bring it up. It's really funny. Oh my god, people have sex in that. I would pay. You know, I wouldn't pay to not hear a 50 Shades of Grey joke anymore. I just fucking hate this movie. I personally think that since in the beginning of this movie, fake Zach Galifianakis was reading The Hunger Games and then they ended up going into like a Hunger Games like state, that they could have just ended the movie by going into like a 50 Shades realm. Like, at least that would kind of like be a joke, but instead they just go to Doug's wedding. So it just like leaves the question up in the air. Oh, was the movie all a dream, or like was it all like real? Like, this is like very like good storytelling. This is like Fight Club all over again when they did the big reveal at the end, and like Gone Girl when you figure out she's the bird. Like, this is so clever. This movie honestly just put my blood pressure up, and that was it. And I found some really good reviews on Letterboxd that like perfectly expressed how I felt afterwards. Firstly, there's I need to call my therapist. And then secondly, a sign of the times, parentheses, pedophiles. If you really would like to watch a Hunger Games parody movie, I'm definitely saying Starving Games 1000% of the way. Like, get drunk, hang out with your friends, laugh at the Starving Games. It's really dumb. It's what parody movies should be, you know? Just like stupid as fuck. But that's about it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you didn't already know, I do have a podcast called Junk Drawer, and there's new episodes every Wednesday. Check it out, the link in the description below. I also stream on Twitch almost every night, so you can catch me streaming on there. And if you miss out, I do upload those streams on my second channel, Nikki Land. Thank you, patrons, so much for your support. You're my number ones, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Let's riot and overthrow this totalitarian government once and for all!
Whopper, Junior, double, triple, Whopper. You love that 108 East Columbus Street, that first. You rule your season today. Happy day, have it your way.